RichTech Robotics has set very tight structures in breakdown. You can see that snap coming the last few trading days, adding to a regression close to $3, now snapping over the top. Is this an early sign that we will see a false breakdown, squeezing sellers back up, getting a push up to these upper $4.55 levels? Or the bears going to continue within their descent, pressing stock price lower, getting down to these lower $2.50 levels? My name is Dylan from Dylan Trades. We're going to break down and analyze ticker symbol RR, RichTech Robotic, going to the weekly first to get the long-term analysis, then jumping accordingly to the daily and the hourly to get a full scope technical analysis breakdown. First and foremost, straight away look at this chart, guys. Huge red and green versions. Seeing an absolutely gorgeous move within RichTech here, breaking out of this really nice channel coming into September, and that did lead a really nice movement to $7.43. Since then, pulling back with a lot of nasty aggression, seeing a really big bearish engulfing. The sellers took advantage with a lot of peak fear, almost indefinitely some sort of news or negative narrative step in. Okay, since then, we've seen that red to green reversion. Flipping over the top, pressing close to $5, ultimately not being able to continue the momentum, leading towards the last 3.5 weeks being negative price action weeks. Now, it gets really interesting as we're clearly looking, if you guys have followed charts, for at least a little amount of time, a double bottom, right? Huge downside movement and getting a bounce, right? Pressing towards the neckline, which would be around that $4.70 level, 480, which we will get to within the daily analysis. Then pulling back towards that same area value, getting almost identically to a low. And this is an opportunity where there's a whole lot risk to reward. So within this huge context, you're of course wondering, will stock price see the bounce at this last low within another negative red week? A lot of momentum flipping down, where traders exit their short positions and long-term buyers step in, buying a cheap stock, right? And then the traders step in and take advantage. And I do think we're going to see that, leading a doji candle. And this is a really good sign to see, and typically the first sign of a reversal. This weekly candle isn't done forming as of right now, but to see these very large downside movements, slowly creep lower, now flipping over the top, I do think we will see a red to green reversion coming into next week. And the most simplest essence to spot that is, where does the momentum go? Okay, if we knock over this candle high of 335, reclaiming that support, very likely that you will see some remnants of a movement which we've seen over here, a very emphatic upside movement within oversold territory, pressing up. So as of right now, very miraculous recovery from our RichTech Robotics. Very quick and huge movement come the last trading days. Within this long-term double bottom, pressing down after a huge regression of 50%, there really is not too much short-term bearish short selling activity. Big money short sellers will always not step into a stock that's regressed, over 50% in such a short amount of time frame, 57%. This is where smart money actually steps up. Very true within this perspective. Just a lot of oversold territory coming eerily close to this more long-term, 8, 9, 10 month, really tight pinch here. When you see this reminisce of a consolidation, break over the top and give such an emphatic press, when you come back to this area value, almost indefinitely you're going to see some reminisce of buyers stepping up for a couple weeks, plop, 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 giving upside, backing that with the red to green reversion. Strong day come the last trading day, and entering this area value with a double bottom. Just a lot of signs to point to a really nice few weeks to come. So despite on a surface level seeing a really negative pullback, quite literally RichTech Robotics has flipped the trend overnight, looking for that double bottom, and I do think we'll see that coming into the next few weeks. We're not looking at the daily analysis. Each one of these candlesticks represents one day, and RichTech has remained to be incredibly resilient and tight within its trading structures. Notice how right when you get towards this big area value around this $3 support level, see a really tight pinch. Stock price has to sit here and marinate, right? Get really tight. You see a very clear resistance. Once getting above that, very strong push, boom, up $1, then price action, then 2 days. Okay, then showing another very tight pinch here, pressing within a very tight descending channel. Range structure, right? Building energy, building energy. Will the sellers push stock price down at the top, or will the buyers defend the bottom? You did see the bottom getting taken out at that $4 psychological level, and from there you see an according drop. A lot of fear, a lot of short sellers and traders stepping in for a reversion. Over the last few weeks, we've been monitoring an identical trading structure. Once again, you hit a big level. Instead of just sinking right through, typically you're going to see stock price shit, right? Battle. And you did see that snap, leading why we said within our last analysis, definitely bearish. And in the short term, got to keep an eye on $3. What happens at $3 being that long-term double bottom structure? Well, this is the answer, guys. Plop, plop, plop. Cut into $3 and then boom. Really nice sign here. We did expect some sort of a news variant, something positive to step in would be the best case scenario. And I do believe we've seen some reminiscence of that. Couldn't have come at a better time. Clearly seeing the exact same low where that miraculous bounce to $4.71 occurred just a few months ago, being revisited within the same structure, just a really dull ride down. Now you're starting to see some momentum. Now, is there a possibility RichTech sits here once again, bids between $3.50 and $3 and builds more energy within another range, just like we've continued to see here, tracking it time and time again, perhaps. But with this being said, I do believe that we're in such oversold territory that you will see $3.35 break. The technicals do show that despite rejecting the support level come end of day, that should be a pretty easy task here. Flipping massive at a huge support level. As of right now, stock price is shaped out to give that false break attempt where you see a big level breach starting to flip, showing all signs that yes, we will see negative price action, but then boom, a big candle already testing that support. Although rejecting, you see a big buff in the volume and a strong, meaningful movement to end the day, still holding its gains, giving a pretty decent movement here. Gave about 4.5%. And yes, once again, on a surface level, we have seen a much larger retracement, but you're getting really beat up here towards this more long-term consolidation, clearly represented on the daily, pulling back to huge area value. Now showing these little signs of that, false breakdown after everything was looking bearish just a few days ago. This is how fast technical analysis can flip, and that's why we give weekly analysis monitoring, guys. Okay, I do believe that RichTech Robotics, as companies do sometimes, they have technical analysts watching certain levels, and they'll drop good news on certain days and times to get that upside. Very intelligent, and they know what they're doing on here on RichTech Robotics. Let's expect a couple nice days to come, pressing the next week. And I do think the overall sector, if you guys are wondering, will synchronize within that movement. And RichTech will be one of those that has a lot of room higher, being that there is not more juice left to squeeze for the sellers, offering a snowball effect. Sellers get out of their positions, buyers get in, validating this double bottom. Very high confidence within the technicals here. We'll continue to track this coming in the next few days. Now look at the hourly analysis. Over the last few days, you did see that really negative drop, breaking beneath $3.35. Just not looking good here. You've seen a really massive fear, breaking $4. Now you're marinating. The bulls, the buyers are attempting to step in and get that bounce, leading a pretty nice rally here. Really nice balance, but then boom, huge 1 hour candle to negate all that. Now pressing on this support, being very thin, then rejecting and retesting it, showing that support, turning resistance, then he pressed lower, heading down to $3, getting very close to it, 6 cents off, and then boom, right, very strong last day. And this is really impressive as well, as the overall market jumping to QQQ, seeing the last day was a huge downside movement. So to see that relative strength here in RichTech in such a fragile spot, but still having a really strong day. Yes, end of day did reject towards the top of this micro descending channel, which we have been holding since 375, setting lower highs and lower lows. We did respect the top of this channel here and reject the last 4 hours. But once again, this is where context is king. Seeing stock price make that big movement up with some solid volume to step in, letting you know that there's serious buyers down here. This is the kind of substance move you're going to want to see to lead a more long-term rally here. So despite being a really short movement in the more grand scheme here, within a, once again, big regression within the short, medium, and long term, do expect this little movement here to create that nice long-term movement. Once above that major level, it reads a very nice runway to press back towards $4, likely very quickly, moving with the overall sector. If you guys followed a lot of these similar stocks within, the robotics, quantum, you name it, what have you, they're very much moving in synchronicity. And a lot of these stocks are, basing and bottoming out after a lot of downside. This is where the big guys typically liquidate their short positions, actually flipping the other way around, looking to buy. It would not be a wise move currently to short RichTech Robotics until effectively $3 is broken. As of right now, you're likely going to need to see some mass fear within the market, just snapping huge volatility, huge news, some sort of event to just flip this trend here and break $3. But as of right now, seeing this nice movement, already test 335, that huge support, which we did break, facing this very tight consolidation. These are little signs here, pressing to the weekly as well. Seeing this double bottom, piecing all the signs together leads a very high confidence yield of a really nice couple weeks to come. But the prediction on the channel is that RichTech Robotic will see $4 before we see $3. Not a financial advisor. Nothing in this video is financial advice. That is a disclaimer. I have to say, right, within these price targets, I'm mandatory to say it. But with that being said, if you guys found any value in it today, consider dropping a sub. And we'll continue to track and cover RichTech Robotics about 1 to 2 times per week. Have a good one, guys. Take care, trade smart, and peace.